I think we can all relate to this, that, you know, psytrance changed our life. For me, it was a big way, you know. This wonderful journey all started for me back in the year 2000. I was just traveling India. Goa, I had just planned to go there for a month, which turned into nearly a year. Let's just go back. Hilltop, I remember hearing the music for the first time. The kick drum was pumping, pounding, this tribal beat, everyone in, you know, kind of in the rhythm, in the groove, just hypnotized into this this sound. This is really like nothing I've ever heard before. It blew me away. We went to the next party, one under a banyan tree, one's on beaches. I went back from Goa and I was, you know, it was impossible to go back into the normal environment. I felt like I'd been enlightened by this experience and the people I'd met and the places I've been, and I was like, I've just got to keep going. So I kept going, and I went to Africa. I went to the Zambia eclipse in 2001, and that was life-changing. It was all very very special time. The first Samathraki, life-changing on this island. No one knew what to expect, and that's when I first started to think, right, okay, I started to identify the artists and the music I like. The first person I really, like, you know, blew my mind of hearing was this guy called Tristan. I said, wow, this guy's got the tunes, you know. This is consistent music. Funny enough, 6 years later in the future, we would actually meet, and that was also a very big changing point in my life. After all this happened, I went home after Africa and I was like, I want to be a DJ, and I became a promoter. And the way I kind of I put myself out there as a DJ was to make the parties myself. So I'd make my own parties. I bought a sound system and we'd make these illegal raves in forests, really underground squat parties in London and warehouses. They'd go on for days. We used to be called Party Possible, and you know, it was very special times, the people in these parties. And I had this sound system and I'd play at my parties. That's how it started. I'd DJ at my parties. I'd end up, you know, booking some people to play at my parties, and then they'd book me to play at their parties. And then it got to a point where I was like, I don't want to be a promoter anymore, because I want to get just more only into the DJing. And then I stopped making my parties and just started DJing for a while in the underground scene in London. And that's really where I got my sound. Basically, was in these illegal raves that would be happening, and it was a beautiful time in England. There was so many illegal raves in the countryside, and we'd live for the weekend. These parties were amazing. And then I met the Wild Things, which really changed everything. And the Wild Things were Beardy, Alex EVP, Spiny. These guys, you know, took me under their wing. They signed me to their label. I met Alex. He really loved my DJ sets, Alex EVP. He taught me how to produce music. We then ended up actually making a track together. It went so well. We then formed a project, Reality Grid. We made an album together. We toured the world for years. This is all before Avalon. You know, I was making funky nighttime music. And then I made the decision that I wanted to change the style I was doing and make a slightly slower BPM, not much slower, just a couple of BPM slower, and make somewhat of a full-on psychedelic daytime sound. And that's when Avalon began. And it was a hard decision because I left Reality Grid. I wanted to do my own thing, and I started Avalon, and I had to start from nothing. I got to a point where, yeah, I was about, you know, to quit and just to have it as a hobby again. I met Tristan in a really cool party in Bristol, Tribe of Frog. I was DJing, he was DJing after me, so he was just waiting to go on stage. And he says, waiting, and as he's sitting there, he's hearing me playing these few Avalon tracks I'd made. And he come up to me, and I think I played Out There, which was actually the track that changed my life in a way. I got signed to Nano and became a big hit. And Tristan heard it for the first time. He's like, wow, what is this? I said, it's one of my tracks, new ones. He said, who are you? I said, Avalon. He's like, never heard of you. Which he wouldn't have. And then he said, right, you got to come with us after. He came up to me again, what's this? It's another Avalon track. He said, right, come to the after party in this kind of mad mansion in the countryside where we partied for days and had this. I met all the Nano guys. It was amazing experience. And I pretty much got signed the next day. Nano, which is, you know, one of the my favorite labels with my favorite artists on it. Suddenly it gave me the confidence and it gave me the motivation and drive to really give it everything I've got to do this. And that's what pushed me to finish the first Avalon album. And you know, and then it developed, and then Tristan said, look, I want to make an album with you, well, let's start a project. It just, you know, you can imagine like your favorite artist when you're a teenager and you're like 10 years on in the future, you're not only one of your best mates, he's become one of your best mates, but you're in a project together and you're on stage together. If someone said in 10 years you'll be on that stage at Samathraki together looking out, I'd never believe you. We made 2 albums together and we've done 2 remix albums together, and we traveled the world, and he's been my partner in crime, a brother from another mother, whatever you call it. We've had the best times ever together, and it's been a really beautiful journey. There's nothing like psychedelic trance and the psychedelic trance culture, the community, the people. And I love it, and I'm really so happy to be part of it in some way and contributing to it in some way, and this means a lot to me. So yeah, this is where the magic happens. This is where I spent the last 3 years making the second Avalon album. Just kidding. So welcome to my studio. This is where it all happens. Speakers, I have the 15-inch sub under the desk, which you can't see, actually feels like you're on the dance floor. So when you're making the music, it feels like you're actually on the dance floor, which is what you want, I think. You want to have that vibe where you feel that what you get an idea what it's going to feel like as if you were playing it out at a party, and I think that's really important. But to also have the precision with the studio monitors and the accuracy with the treated room like this, you know. So you want the best of both worlds, and with the ATCs, which is what I'm using, ATC 45s and the 15-inch sub C6 is, for me, is the perfect combination. A lot of my inspiration has come from being on the dance floor at the festivals and all the parties. It's very important to me to feel the music on the dance floor, not just my music, but just to feel the actual party experience. Because I'm away touring so much, I don't have enough time to spend in this zone. With Tristan, actually, we did a lot of our album in hotel rooms and aeroplanes together. We both got the headphones on and we're like buzzing, jamming on the plane together and coming up with ideas, and then we take it back in the studio, all the material we've made on the plane, all the sounds we've twisted and manipulated, and arrangements we've done on the aeroplane, or when we come back to the studio, we actually turn it into a full-blown arrange for a track. And I think it's making the most of the time on your travels when you're waiting. When you're touring, you get inspired at that tour, which is really cool, because you know you've just walked off stage and you go back to the hotel and you can't sleep because you're so buzzing from playing to this thousands of people or hundreds of people, whatever size, from a good party. And then I bet a lot of the times I'd stay awake and I'm gonna do 3 hours in Ableton, which is the software I use, and just make music. So that is the main melodic lead in the track with Adja. I've done many takes on recording the live automation and getting the sweeps right with distortion and saturation, and I'm using a rate reducer distortion. You know, when you bring it up, finding the sweet spot here. We've been talking about doing a track for a long time, and it was hard to try and be in the same place as each other because his tour schedule is very busy and mine is, and you know, the only way to do it was we looked at a lineup in a party and we're like, right, we're playing at the same party, let's make a track when we meet up at this party. And it was in Russia, and we ended up turning the hotel room into a studio. It's a very great combination, me and Adja together actually, and I really enjoyed working with him. And it reminds me of like sunset at a festival. You know, you're at Boom, Azora, the sun's setting, and you've got this vocal, this track's like, you know, the moment where it's just like, oh, you got there, the set's built up to this moment, and it's like the tail out of it. And I thought, right, it's a good vocal, but then when I got this vocal and I transposed it to the octave higher, and I put the two together, and you get something really quite special. See, now it's starting to talk, these two together. And it's creating a vibe now. So I've got lots of layers. I've got like 3 or 4 different layers all building with the cut-offs, filters, and all moving in and out of each other, creating the power. You can't even hear some of them, they're just underneath layered, but they all form one big monster of a line. I think there was like 160 channels to mix. It was an absolute mission. Balancing over 100 channels, I mean 150 channels of different sounds, which in psychedelic trance is quite normal. I've got the ocean right outside and it's so nice just to go there, clear my head, look into the sea, chill out, and then come back here and get back involved. I think it's important to rest your ears, and it's nice just to walk across there and just look into the ocean and lose myself for a bit and then come back in here and blast it out. I've been really recently returning more to my roots, which is more sort of underground psychedelic stuff. And what I mean by that is music that doesn't stop and go into triplets. And I have done no triplet drops on this album. I'm done with that sound. That sound still really works at parties, especially in some countries, but it's not where I'm at right now, and it's not what's really making me dance. I really wanted to bring in visual artists to have an AV experience, an audio visual experience for the album. So I've cherry-picked my favorite visual artists over the years, and each track will have a different visual artist, and the visuals are created for the track. Global Illumination, Tass, and he makes unbelievable visuals. I think everyone would have seen him doing the visuals at Azora, Boom. John Speaker, he's from Colorado, and he's a visionary artist, and he does some amazing psychedelic paintings. I contacted a guy called Andrew Hunter, who can take paintings and then make them into visuals, and I wanted to do a collaboration between the two of them because I've seen it before, and it was really, really awesome to take John's artwork and then for Andrew to put it into the visuals and work his magic on it, and the two together, it's a great combination, fully psychedelic. When you listen to the album, you'll have a whole journey of different visuals for each track, sounds moving to the music, and it's going to be a whole experience, whereas before, 10 years ago, we didn't have the technology which allowed us to create such amazing visuals. I mean, you could create visuals, but things have really advanced, especially in the last few years. And I wanted to bring that into my album and to embrace the sort of both technologies, not just the music software advancing, but also the visual software and the animations. And I'm very excited to have all the artists working with me for each track, and it's been a real mission to get it all together, but I'm really, really excited about it all. The art for my album's my favorite visionary artist, Anderson de Bernardi. It's a real honor for me to have these very talented artists involved. It's been 10 years of that, and because it's been nearly 10 years since I've done my first Avalon solo album. I've been very busy making singles and EPs all the time. I've done 2 albums with Tristan, and 4 albums if you include both remix albums we've done, and I've done 2 Avalon remix albums. But as a solo album, it's been nearly 10 years, and I've been waiting for this time. I've been rising up, with all this, gathering all this inspiration from travels and the beautiful places I'm seeing, and the people I'm meeting, and the experiences, and the other music I'm hearing on the dance floor, and all the collaborations I've been making over the last 10 years with really talented artists. In fact, some of the artists that inspired me in the first place to do this. And I've been rising up and building it all up to this moment now to create my second solo album, which is Rise, and I hope you enjoy it.